Let's say you want to build a custom AI for a business. You're probably thinking, long nights, tons of complicated code, right? Well, what if I told you that you could do the whole thing just by talking to it in plain English? Today, that's exactly what we're going to break down, how to create a real working AI voice agent without touching a single line of code.
So let's just get right to it with the big question. Can you really build a custom AI voice assistant, let's say for a busy dental clinic, in less than half an hour, and do it for free? I know, it sounds kind of like science fiction, but the answer is absolutely yes.
And look, we're not just guessing here. A recent tutorial that used Google's AI Studio showed exactly how this is done. So in this explainer, we're going to walk you through that process step by step, and you'll see how a simple idea gets turned into a real app just through conversation.
So, where does a story like this begin? Well, like pretty much any creation, it all starts with an idea. But instead of drawing up a complicated blueprint, this idea was just a simple sentence, a request given straight to Google's AI.
That's it. That's the entire prompt that kicked this whole thing off. Just notice how normal and conversational that is, right? It's not technical at all. It's just a clear instruction. Hey, build me a voice agent for a dental clinic. Make sure it can book appointments. And please, whatever you do, don't make it sound like a robot. That's literally the starting line for everything.
Then that simple prompt got, well, supercharged. With just a few clicks, the builder added some key AI features. The ability to actually hold a conversation. Access to Gemini's brain for smarter answers, fast response times. And this cool ability to think more when a question gets tricky. It's kind of like giving our brand new AI its core set of superpowers right from the get-go.
Okay, so the AI gets its instructions and it gets to work building the app. And believe it or not, in just a few moments, version 1 was ready to go. But as you know, the first draft is almost never the final masterpiece.
And hey, the good news is it actually worked. The AI could understand what you were saying and book an appointment. But the bad news? It was clunky. It felt a lot less like a professional receptionist and more like one of those really basic chatbots that just happens to have a voice.
And when we say clunky, we're talking about some very specific problems. The microphone button just looked weird. The AI's voice was robotic, totally unnatural, and the biggest issue? It was passive. You, the user, had to drive the whole conversation, which is not how a real receptionist works at all. It didn't even ask for your name. But here's where things get really wild. Before a human even had a chance to give feedback, something incredible happened. While it was building the app, the AI actually found 2 mistakes in its own code. And instead of just crashing, it diagnosed the problem and fixed itself, all on its own. This self-healing thing is a total game changer, because it means the AI is way more likely to build something that actually works right out of the box. Okay, so we've got an AI that works, but it's pretty rough around the edges. What's next? Well, now it's time for school. And this is where the real magic of this whole process kicks in. The improvements didn't come from writing code. They came from giving simple, plain English feedback. So, first up was its personality. The builder just told the AI to act more like a receptionist and pointed out that huge mistake. It didn't even ask for my name. Think about that. This isn't a bug report, it's more like performance coaching for an AI. And the result of that one little comment was night and day. Just look at this. Before, the user had to awkwardly kick things off, but after, the AI takes charge right away with a professional greeting, introduces itself, and asks for the caller's name. It went from a passive tool to a proactive assistant, all because of one simple sentence. The next issue was that robotic perfection. The AI sounded way too much like a machine, so the feedback was, kinda counterintuitively, to make it less perfect. The builder literally asked it to add ums and ahs to make it sound more natural. And again, just look at the difference this made. The AI goes from these blunt, factual statements to using natural pauses and filler words. That little, let me check, is such a tiny detail, but it's what makes the conversation feel less like you're talking to a computer and more like you're talking to a person. All right, so our AI is sounding good, it's acting the part, but there was still a major functional problem. The AI would book the appointment instantly, without ever letting the user double-check the details. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster. So the next fix was all about putting the user back in the driver's seat. The instruction was super clear. Show a form with all the details you gathered and let the user be the one to hit that final confirm button. This puts a really important human check back into the system. And this created a workflow that's just so much safer and more user-friendly. Now you talk to the AI, it fills out a form on the screen, and then you can actually look it over and fix any mistakes like a misheard name or the wrong date. Only when you're happy with it do you click Confirm. It's the perfect mix of conversational AI and a classic, reliable user interface.
So at this point, we've got a pretty solid app, right? It's professional, it sounds human, it's safe to use. But there was one last request to really push the AI's limits and see what this new way of building things is really all about.
And this was the final challenge. Make it send a real confirmation email. Now that's a big deal because normally that kind of thing requires servers and back-end APIs and all sorts of complicated stuff. But the prompt was simple. Add an email field and send an email.
So here's the catch. Because this was all built in a simple web tool, the AI couldn't actually send an email itself. But, and this is the brilliant part, instead of just failing, it came up with this clever workaround. It automatically opened the user's default email app with a pre-written draft that had all the appointment details ready to go. It understood the goal, get a confirmation to the user, and found the next best way to make it happen.
So why is this so important? Well, because in less than 30 minutes, what we've built here is a tool with real, tangible business value. It's a receptionist that never sleeps, never gets tired, and can take bookings 24/7. For a small business like a dental clinic, that means better customer service and capturing appointments they'd otherwise miss.
So what all this really points to is a whole new way of thinking about how we create things. We're really moving toward building through conversation. It shows us that flaws aren't failures. They're just opportunities to teach the AI. And maybe, most importantly, this makes powerful technology accessible to everyone, even if you've never written a single line of code in your life. The whole process, from a simple idea in a sentence to a finished, working app, took less than 30 minutes. And that really just leaves us with one final exciting question. If building your own custom AI is really becoming this simple, this conversational, what are you going to build next?